Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 249 to 250 based on novel. So let's start. Looking at the blue cultivation planet, Situ Nan's divine sense spread out and spread forward. It was like a storm that charged at the planet and swept through it. Situ Nan's Nirvana cleanser cultivation made his divine sense very sharp. Adding his arrogant and almost demonic domain, it gave him almost endless power. As he swept across the planet, the entire planet trembled as if a giant pair of hands was playing with it. Rumbling sounds came from the earth and the sky changed colors. The three Chen brothers were cultivating, but they suddenly opened their eyes and revealed gloomy expressions. The three disappeared at the same time, and when they reappeared, they were in the air. However, this divine sense was too strong. The moment the three of them appeared, they had to retreat thousands of feet and use their full power to resist to be able to barely stand firm. Big Head and Lei Ji also felt this powerful divine sense. Lei Ji's cultivation level wasn't high enough, so he directly coughed out blood. However, he wasn't scared at all but instead felt gloomy. Big Head resisted the impact of the divine sense and arrived next to Wang Lin's palace. He protected Wang Lin's palace along with Ta Shan. As for the junior cultivators, they were all extremely pale. Those that were lightly injured coughed out blood, and those who were heavily affected passed out. Only people like Zhao Shui and Ling who had protection items from the three Chen brothers, were able to barely hold on. The extremely arrogant divine sense spread across the palace Wang Lin was in. However, Wang Lin was refining the female corpse and had reached the most critical moment. Wang Lin's divine sense had almost completely connected to the female corpse. Unless someone's cultivation level was way higher, they would only see the female corpse. After all, the female corpse was also at the Nirvana cleanser stage. The divine sense paused for a moment and then swept by. In the distance, Master Hollow Wind's eyes shined and then he frowned. As the divine sense spread out, his eyes revealed a dark glow and he formed a seal and pointed forward. The divine sense gathered like a whirlpool as it laughed and retreated. This old man's mood is pretty good, so I'll give you a chance. Hand over the woman with the water spirit root and that little girl called Zhao Shui. I really don't consider you two half-dead Nirvana cleanser cultivators a threat. This rough voice rumbled across planet water spirit like roaring thunder. It quickly reached every part of planet water spirit. This voice contained a spell along with Situ Nan's Nirvana cleanser cultivation. Just listening to it caused the three Chen brothers to cough out blood and retreat once more. Master Yi Chen's expression was ferocious as he shouted, "Activate the planet protection formation." As soon as he finished, he touched his bag and a black token flew out. At the same time, Master Yi Xing and Master Yi Long quickly took out a black token from each their bags. The three of them raised their token almost at the same time. One of the tokens collapsed and turned into a black ripple that quickly spread. In just a moment, it surrounded the entire planet. Just as the first token shattered, the remaining two tokens also shattered. Then two more ripples spread across the entire planet. At this moment, there were 3 layers of black ripples that tightly guarded planet water spirit. Master Yi Chen's face was pale. He had no confidence that these 3 layers could resist the enemy, but he didn't panic. He sneered in his heart. With Brother Wang here, I want to see how you'll bully planet water spirit. Oh! When Situ Nan saw the 3 layers of light, a cold light flashed in his eyes. When his divine sense spread across planet water spirit, he noticed 2 early-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivators. The 2 Nirvana cleanser cultivators were seriously injured, but even if they weren't, Situ Nan wouldn't have cared. He laughed and then disappeared from the large bed. He reappeared outside planet water spirit. Resisting is good. The more you resist, the more excited I get. Damn it, this time I'm getting concubine furnaces for my brother, not for myself. Mortality, stand on my side. Situ Nan's eyes revealed a strange light as he closed in on planet water spirit. Then he suddenly pointed forward with his right forefinger. Annihilation. A vortex appeared on Situ Nan's finger, and the sounds of explosion could be heard from within the vortex. Endless origin energy condensed in the vortex, causing it to rotate faster. In the end, it looked like it wasn't moving, but the speed of its rotation had reached an unimaginable degree. Last time I went into closed-door cultivation, I refined the finger of death, demonic finger, and underworld finger. In addition, I also improved the latter 3-finger techniques. I can break this mere planet protection formation in just a few breaths of time. Sichu Nan's eyes lit up as he mercilessly pointed forward. The vortex quickly flew toward the formation around planet water spirit. It closed in an instant and smashed into the first layer. A heaven-shaking sound echoed when the vortex and the black light collided. The shockwave spread out violently, pushing everyone away. Sichu Nan wasn't affected, but all the female cultivators behind him had to retreat. The first layer of black ripples trembled rapidly and exploded. Then a huge storm was set off, and it landed on the second layer. Just at this instant, Sichu Nan pointed once more and shouted, "One finger points at the heavens and earth, the universe is silence." With a point of his finger, an even larger vortex appeared and the origin energy in the world gathered like crazy. It was as if the vortex had become a black hole that could absorb all the power in the world. In an instant, the vortex was 100 feet wide. As it rotated rapidly, lightning arched within it, creating sounds of explosions. Sichu Nan's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he shouted, "Annihilation chained." After he spoke, the explosions from inside the vortex reached a limit and the lightning inside arched even more violently. However, all of these were secondary. The most important part was that the origin energy inside the vortex went through a shocking chain. Nirvana cleanser cultivators could absorb origin energy, form the world and infuse it into their spells. As a result, their attacks were far more powerful than that of Nirvana scryer cultivators. However, this could be considered the lowest method of using origin energy. It was very simple. It was just absorbing and condensing. However, if you understood the laws, then you could use change in addition to absorb and condense. The so-called change was a qualitative change by absorbing origin energy and then compressing it repeatedly until it changed into a mysterious power that Nirvana cleanser cultivators called the power of law. In truth, Wang Lin's self-created spell belonged to the power of law. The power of law was something that rarely occurred in Nirvana cleanser cultivators, much less Nirvana scryer cultivators. This was why Master Hollow Wind was so shocked. Sichu Nan shouted as the 100-foot vortex before him compressed until it was only the size of his hand. Then it flew directly at the planet protection formation. "Break for this old man." Sichu Nan stepped forward toward the vortex. The vortex was so fast that it closed in instantly. As the vortex closed in, the second layer trembled violently. When the vortex touched it, the second layer unexpectedly twisted with the vortex and was absorbed by the vortex without any resistance. The vortex didn't stop and directly landed on the last layer of black ripples. The moment it touched the last layer of black ripples, the layer collapsed. The 3 layers of the planet protection formation were destroyed like this. The vortex charged at planet water spirit. While letting out an arrogant laugh, Sichu Nan shouted, "This old man is here looking for a concubine for my brother. I'll destroy anyone who dares to stop me." The moment Sichu Nan and the vortex appeared above planet water spirit, the 3 Chen brothers coughed out blood once more. The planet protection formation was linked to them, so they couldn't help but retreat. Behind Sichu Nan, the female cultivators of the Pink Palace quickly followed and filled the sky. The fragrance they gave off was enough to intoxicate people. The middle-aged man in blue also arrived. He excitedly looked at the 3 Chen brothers and thought, "Even you 3 old things can have a day like today." Master Yi Chen's expression was gloomy as he stared at Sichu Nan and shouted, "Fellow cultivator has amazing cultivation. I presume you're not a nobody." Sichu Nan glared and laughed. "I'm Sichu Nan. Fellow cultivator Sichu has such an amazing cultivation, so why force the 3 of us? Moreover, Ling and Zhao Shui are only juniors, so please let them go. Us Chen brothers will make amends." Looking at the 3 Chen brothers, Sichu Nan shook his head. "This old man has plenty of women and cultivation furnaces, so I don't care for your juniors. However, this old man's brother is still very young. Let's see. Only about 1,000 years old, so still very young. Rest assured, my brother is very handsome, and those two junior of yours might not even catch my brother's fancy. Don't waste my time. Bring them out, or else I'll kill you all and take them away. Senior, Zhao Shui can leave with you, but please spare my junior sister. In the distance, two rays of light arrived and revealed themselves to be two women. One of them was Zhao Shui and beside her was Ling who was completely calm. Sichu Nan narrowed his eyes as his gaze swept Zhao Shui, and he praised her in his heart. It was as the rumors had said, this girl Zhao Shui was a cool beauty and a good material for a concubine. He then looked at Ling next to Zhao Shui, and his eyes revealed a strange glow. She indeed does have a water spirit root. Zhao Shui didn't even glance at the middle-aged man next to Sichu Nan. Her cold and arrogant expression was obvious. Sichu Nan was too lazy to bother with Zhao Shui's words. With a wave of his sleeves, a gust of wind immediately caught Zhao Shui and Ling He arrogantly said, "This old man is taking the two of them." As he spoke, he moved backward and was about to leave. The three Chen brothers' eyes were bloodshot, especially Master Yi Chen's. It was as if his heart was torn. Although Ling was a cross-generation junior, he treated her like his own daughter. At this moment, it was as if he was watching a villain stealing his daughter before him. He clenched his teeth, turned toward the palace Wang Lin was in, and bowed. His voice was filled with grief and indignation as he loudly said, "Brother Wang, please help this old man once." Unfortunately, Wang Lin was completely immersed in refining the corpse, because it was the most critical moment. He only kept his divine sense around the palace, so even if he detected what was happening outside, he couldn't be distracted. Sichu Nan was originally going to leave, but when he heard Brother Wang, his body trembled and he stopped. His eyes revealed a mysterious light and muttered to himself, "Someone named Wang? What is the name of the brother Wang you spoke of?" Sichu Nan turned around toward Master Yi Chen, but soon shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'll know once I look." After he spoke, he took a step and charged at the palace Wang Lin was in. If Sichu Nan hadn't gone to Wang Lin, Master Hollow Wind wouldn't have appeared. He was already injured, so there was no way he would help the three Chen brothers. However, now that Sichu Nan had closed in on Wang Lin, he had to act. People who had reached his cultivation level were pretty open about things. However, after several encounters with Wang Lin, he felt very complex. Wang Lin had let him go twice. Although it was just to get his help in the demon spirit land, it was him who was wrong twice, so he held no resentment. Therefore, if he didn't act now, it would be unreasonable. Master Hollow Wind's eyes lit up and he gave up on healing himself. When Sichu Nan was within 5 kilometers of Wang Lin's palace, he appeared before Sichu Nan. Master Hollow Wind's expression was calm as he slowly said, "Fellow cultivator, since you already taken the people you want, it is best to leave." Sichu Nan's eyes narrowed, but his expression was filled with impatience, and he shouted, "If you weren't injured, you'd barely qualify, but right now you're not qualified to block me." As Sichu Nan spoke, he raised his right hand and pointed without hesitation. Underworld finger. As this finger pointed out, the sky changed colors and dense death aura filled the world. The underworld finger now held considerable power after being refined by Sichu Nan. Borrowing the sliver of life that appears in a land filled with death, it allowed the underworld finger to contain a small trace of life. As a result, it formed its own yin and yang and became a fierce spell that shot directly at Master Hollow Wind. Master Hollow Wind's hands formed a seal and he waved his hand. Large amounts of origin energy gathered and collided with the underworld finger. There was a loud bang, and Master Hollow Wind's body trembled and he was forced to retreat several dozen feet. However, the underworld finger wasn't affected at all and continued to chase him after a short pause. Disdain filled Sichu Nan's eyes as he shouted, "Underworld change." After he spoke, the underworld wind rapidly shrank and a destructive aura spread out like crazy. Master Hollow Wind's expression changed greatly. He naturally saw that this wind was abnormal and retreated without hesitation. Sichu Nan didn't pay attention to Master Hollow Wind and stepped directly toward Wang Lin's palace. Ta Shan and Big Head wanted to intercept, but Sichu Nan waved his sleeve. Big Head was blown away, but Ta Shan was able to maintain his position. He was, after all, a celestial guard. Then he threw a punch. This punch created a sonic boom that charged toward Sichu Nan. Sichu Nan was surprised as he carefully looked at Ta Shan before pointing at him. Ta Shan's body trembled and he was blown away. Interesting, a Nirvana cleanser, a Nirvana scryer, and a puppet with such a powerful body. I really have to see this cultivator named Wang that is being guarded by them. As Sichu Nan laughed, he stepped within 1,000 feet of the palace. The moment he landed, Sichu Nan was startled, and he had an extremely strange expression with his mouth open. He didn't believe what he was seeing. After all, what he saw with his divine sense was very different from seeing it in person. Sichu Nan was about to speak, but a loud whistle came from the palace. Countless restrictions rushed out, and they filled the sky and rushed at Sit Nan. Damn it! Sichu Nan was about to retreat, but there were too many restrictions. They all rushed at him as if they wouldn't give up until they sealed him. Sichu Nan wryly smiled and simply decided not to retreat. He opened his arms and a giant vortex appeared before him. This vortex rotated very fast, and as Sichu Nan swung his arms, the vortex collapsed, sending out waves of ripples. All the restrictions that touched these ripples collapsed, and in just a moment, all of the restrictions collapsed. Sichu was about to speak when his expression changed and a sharp, female voice came from the palace. This scream pierced the high heavens, and even Sichu Nan couldn't help but retreat a few steps. Just at this moment, the door to the palace suddenly opened. A woman wearing silver shot out in a ray of silver light toward Sichu Nan. Sichu Nan's eyes narrowed as he waved his right hand and retreated. His right hand formed a seal and he pointed at the woman, creating a ring of light, and he shouted, "Celestial entrapment finger." This ring of light shined purple and gave off a powerful origin energy fluctuation. As Sichu Nan spoke, it shot toward the female corpse. Just as Sichu Nan pointed, the ring disappeared, but a moment later, it appeared around the woman. It trapped the woman inside and mercilessly shrank. The ring suddenly multiplied from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into countless rings trapping her. However, this woman wasn't simple. She opened her mouth to spit out a pair of scissors. The scissors flew around her, cutting the rings. Taking this time, Sichu Nan spat at the ground and wryly smiled. Damn it, what is this? I failed to recognize someone I knew. With that, he walked past the woman and directly headed toward the palace. When he closed in, his hands formed a seal and he pointed with his finger as he laughed. Take my mountain tremble finger. With a point of his finger, the shadow of a majestic mountain appeared behind Sichu Nan. The mountain was so huge that it almost connected the heavens and earth. Then the shadow rapidly condensed onto Sichu Nan's finger. In the end, when the mountain completely disappeared, the power of this finger reached its peak. This finger was like a mountain crashing down. A very cheerful laugh came from inside the palace and a frenzy aura exploded from within. The two forces collided with each other, causing an unimaginable shockwave to spread out. The shockwave caused dust to cover the area surrounding Wang Lin's palace. All the shattered stones scattered in all directions. Sichu Nan's body trembled and shock filled his eyes. He turned into a ray of light and retreated 1,000 feet before the powerful force was dissipated. Nevertheless, his right hand still trembled and felt numb. What kind of spell is this? Just the power of the body not only broke my mountain tremble spell, it even caused me to retreat. When did this brat become so strong? Excitement filled Sichu Nan's eyes as he laughed and jumped into the air. He pointed up and smiled. That mountain tremble was used with only part of my strength. Right now, I'll let you see it at its full power. I spent a long time comprehending this spell on that abandoned planet that was worse than bird shit to perfect this. Okay. Wang Lin's laugh came from below and he flew into the air. When he looked at Sichu Nan, a rare hint of excitement and familiarity appeared in his eyes. Sichu Nan smiled, but the admiration and the excitement from seeing Wang Lin after so many years was still revealed through his expression. The two of them looked at each other in the air. Sometimes, brothers don't need to talk much. They only needed one gaze to rekindle their friendship. Everything that happened on planet Suzaku echoed in both their hearts almost at the same time. Mountain tremble finger. Sichu Nan laughed as his right hand pointed at Wang Lin. At this moment, The entire planet trembled and mountains' souls flew out. An illusion appeared around Sichu Nan. Mountains appeared next to Sichu Nan. There were hundreds of thousands of them. Sichu Nan had unexpectedly called all the mountain souls on the planet here. They appeared like mirages and looked extremely real. As he pointed, these mountain souls gave off ancient auras that quickly gathered. They condensed into a powerful force that shot toward Wang Lin. This finger was a powerful spell that gathered all the mountain souls on planet Water Spirit. The power of this mountain tremble finger caused Wang Lin's eyes to reveal a mysterious light. He gripped his hand and the sky rumbled. It was as if Wang Lin was holding the sky within his hands. Holding his right fist, Wang Lin walked forward and threw a punch forward. There was a loud bang that echoed between the worlds. An illusion of an ancient god's arm appeared before Wang Lin as if that punch was the punch of an ancient god. Boom, boom, boom. This earth-shattering sound replaced all other sounds on planet Water Spirit and echoed within everyone's ears. Sichu Nan's mountain tremble finger that gathered all the mountain souls on the planet collided before Wang Lin's fist. A powerful shockwave spread, causing violent waves to appear over the ocean. Sichu Nan laughed and retreated. There was admiration in his eyes and he smiled. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Wang Lin, I haven't seen you for hundreds of years, and you sure surprised me today. Wang Lin also retreated and laughed. It looks like you must have entered closed-door cultivation in these hundreds of years. The two of them looked at each other and smiled happily. Wang Lin had not been so happy for a long time. His reunion with Sichu Nan made him think of their long friendship, and this made his heart feel warm. Sichu Nan was still the same. He was very arrogant and had very few close friends, and even the ones he had long lost contact with them. Wang Lin was somewhat special as the two of them had experienced many life and death situations together. Now that he saw that Wang Lin's cultivation had reached such a degree, he was very happy. Under Wang Lin's invitation, the two flew off into the distance, leaving everyone else confused. In particular, the three Chen brothers were startled by this sudden change. It wasn't until after a long time that the three of them wryly smiled. They were all Nirvana Scryer cultivators and were all very smart. At this moment, they realized that when Sichu Nan said he was taking Ju Shui and Ling for his brother, that there was an 80% chance that his brother was Wang Lin. Master Hollow Wind could only bitterly smile at this and shook his head. Then he looked at the woman in silver that had walked out from Sichu Nan's spell and felt doubt in his heart. All of them scattered. At this moment, Wang Lin and Sichu Nan sat on the peak where Wang Lin comprehended sundered night. The mountain wind hit their clothes as the two exchanged what had happened to them over these hundreds of years. There was a white jade table between the two of them with a wine jug and other things that Sichu Nan had brought. After he took a drink, he exclaimed, I didn't think so many things would happen after you went to planet Tianyun. It would have been better if you had followed me and had fun being king. Wang Lin picked up the wine cup and drank a mouthful before shaking his head and saying, if not for some unexpected things on the way to planet Tianyun, I wouldn't have my current cultivation. Sichu Nan revealed an expression that was like a smile that was not a smile, then he put down the wine cup and laughed. I heard about the war between All Heaven and the Alliance on planet Fengluan and about the fame of the Thunder Celestial of All Heaven. I didn't expect it to be you. Wang Lin's expression remained neutral and he smiled. I was just lucky. However, your cultivation is a bit strange. You're only at the peak of the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, but even I panicked at the strength of that punch. Although Sichu Nan was only at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser, his talent was simply too good. He was also painstakingly studying during his closed-door cultivation, so he was at the peak of his cultivation level. If forced into a corner, he could even fight mid-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivators, only the price would be heavy. The battle between Wang Lin and Sichu Nan was merely just sparing. However, Sichu Nan could obviously feel a shocking power hidden within Wang Lin. Even with Sichu Nan's arrogance, he was shocked. After more than 1,000 years, the youth from back then had lost all his naivety and became a true cultivator. While Sichu Nan was in a trance, it was as if saw that simple child that had just picked up the heaven-defying bead. Then the youth flashed by and became the simple youth in the Hangyu sect that didn't understand the cruel world of cultivators. The youth that lost his parents and lost his body before being saved by Sichu Nan. Then this youth went on a path of slaughter to almost become a monster. The youth that rediscovered himself after finding his domain. The youth who gradually rose to fame on planet Suzaku and finally reached the peak to awaken him, Sichu Nan. Sichu Nan let out a sigh as he looked at Wang Lin. He couldn't help but think of the day they departed. One went to planet Tianyun to become a disciple and one went to planet Feng Luan to enjoy life. In a flash, hundreds of years passed, and today, the two reunited once more. Aside from the friendship not changing, everything else had changed too much. A person's life was merely this. As Wang Lin looked at Sichu Nan, memories of the past also flashed through his mind. These memories were too old, but Wang Lin clearly remembered them. He couldn't forget what he once said under the night sky. I, Wang Lin, will never bow to the heavens or pay respect to any ghost or god. I only bow to my parents and pay my respects to Sichu. Sichu Nan had helped him far too much. If not for Sichu, Wang Lin would have died in Zhao and would never have the achievements he had today. If it wasn't for Sichu, it would have been hard for Wang Lin to step through to early stages of the first step, qi condensation, foundation establishment, core formation, and nascent soul. Without his foundation, it would have been hard for him to reach his current level. If not for Sichu's death, demonic, and underworld fingers, along with how to use spells and treasures, it would have been hard for Wang Lin to gain a foothold on planet Tianyun. If not for Sichu, when Wang Lin was attacked by the scattered devil in the demon spirit land, he would have died without the underworld finger. There was also the heaven-defying bead. If Sichu Nan had any greed, he wouldn't have let Wang Lin keep such a mysterious treasure. If Sichu were to take it from Wang Lin would die. Because of that, Sichu simply smiled and said one thing. I gift you this. As the memories from the past resurfaced, the two people on the peak became silent. The wind whistled by, but it couldn't scatter the emotions they felt. These emotions became even more powerful, until they were like a shroud of smoke that would linger forever in their hearts, representing their eternal friendship. As the mountain breeze blew by, the two drank one cup after another. After a moment of silence, both laughed. Real friends don't need to say much. Just a cup of wine and a laugh can allow them to throw away all the sadness, leaving only joy. A man can have no lover, but he can't be without a true friend. Sichu Nan didn't question more about Wang Lin's cultivation being strange. He interrupted Wang Lin's words as he drank a cup of wine and smiled. What more is there to say between us two brothers? When I was at a disadvantage on planet Fengluan, I first thought of you. Later, you and I will definitely slaughter our way back to planet Fengluan. Wang Lin smiled and nodded without asking more. He chatted with Sichu Nan as they drank wine until it was late into the night. The bright moon hung in the sky, shining brightly. Although it was cold, it was also very quiet. Talking about life with a friend made Wang Lin's mind feel peaceful. He hadn't had this warm feeling in a very long time. This kind of warmth appeared by itself when one was with old friends. It was as if he was back on planet Suzaku, where he and Sichu Nan's fates were linked. You were also famous in the All-Heaven star system, and it can be said you had fun there. But poor me, I originally was having fun on planet Fengluan but accidentally saw some of those damn women. It shouldn't have been a big deal in the cultivation world. I didn't care much. Didn't I just take a few extra looks? Didn't I just engrave the images into a jade? Sichu Nan was depressed as he drank a big mouthful of wine. That was all I did, yet they released a kill order to hunt me day and night. It forced me to hide, and I couldn't even act like a king in peace. Finally, I was forced to change close-door cultivation locations every once in a while. In these past several hundred years, I was like a mouse running from one planet to another. Planets filled with spiritual energy and abandoned planets without any spiritual energy, I've been to them all. Sichu Nan became angry as he talked about this, so he simply picked up a jug and drank for a few breaths. Then he put it down and hatefully said, after I came out of closed-door cultivation, I slaughtered my way to planet Fengluan, but there were too many of them. And they had gotten some helpers, making me suffer a big loss. When Sichu Nan got to this point, his face unexpectedly turned red. Wang Lin roughly guessed the story before his eyes narrowed and he frowned. He grabbed Sichu Nan's right hand and he carefully spread out his divine sense. After a long time, Wang Lin's expression became even more strange. Sichu Nan wryly smiled and drank a cup before he said, "You saw through it." Wang Lin pondered for a bit as a flash of coldness appeared in his eyes along with monstrous killing intent. He nodded and said, "What kind of poison is so powerful that you can't force it out even with your cultivation?" Sichu Nan put down his cup of wine and wryly smiled. "I don't know where those damn women from planet Fengluan got this poison. I checked a lot of records to find that this poison is called the seventh heaven. 3 days of heaven, then 3 days of hell. Damn it, during these days, I really wished I was dead. This poison is a remnant of the celestial realm, and before the celestial realm collapsed, it was a poison made by refining countless celestials for 100 years. This poison has no effect on mortals, but it targets celestials. After this poison enters the body, it is impossible to force it out, because it completely fuses with one's origin soul. The main effect of this seventh heaven is in the 3 days of heaven and 3 days of hell. During the first 3 days, you will be in a state of illusion and waste all your mental power. Then you spend the next 3 days dying. On the 7th day, your origin soul is completely destroyed. Although it takes 7 days for you to die, but the moment you are poisoned, you lose all your cultivation. Then, Wang Lin looked at Sichu Nan. It was obvious Sichu Nan hadn't lost his cultivation. Sichu bitterly smiled. When he picked up the wine jug, he found that there was no wine left. So he took a big jug out from his bag and broke the seal. He drank directly from it and allowed the wine to drip down the corner of his mouth. After putting down the wine jug, he sighed and said, "Luckily, this old man is clever and came up with an extreme way to resist this poison. I used a female cultivator as my cultivation furnace. Through a special pair cultivation method, I was able to stimulate the 7th heaven, making it remain in the first stage. This is how I was able to delay it until now." The killing intent in Wang Lin's cold gaze exploded as he looked up at the stars. His killing intent toward planet Fengluan that pushed Sichu Nan into this state was monstrous. Wang Lin slowly asked, "Does planet Fengluan have Nirvana Shatterer cultivators?" Sichu Nan shook his head and said there are no Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, at most mid-stage Nirvana cleanser. There aren't even any late-stage or peak late-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivators. It's just, there are a lot of Nirvana cleanser cultivators on planet Fengluan, and adding on their helpers, there are more than 10. Wang Lin sneered as he nodded and said, "We definitely have to get revenge, but more importantly, we need to focus on how to get rid of your poison." Sichu Nan's eyes lit up and he said, "I do have some plans regarding this. Those damn women from planet Fengluan had the poison but not the antidote. The real antidote should be in the celestial realm. Once the rain celestial realm opens, I'll head there and perhaps I can find it." Wang Lin's expression changed and he asked, "Celestial realm? Was this poison refined by the rain celestial realm?" Sichu Nan nodded and said, "From the records I found, it was refined by the rain celestial realm." Wang Lin pondered a bit. He still had the pagoda from Ju Yi. Inside there laid celestial lord Qing Shuang's corpse. Qing Shuang was a celestial lord of the rain celestial realm. Back in the day, I found various clues pointing to the fact that inside that mysterious cave in the demon spirit land lies the strongest celestial emperor from the past, Celestial Emperor Qing Lin. This Qing Lin was Qing Shuang's father, and he may have a way to revive her. Once she revives, it will be easy to cure this poison. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he looked at Sichu Nan and slowly said, "Perhaps there is no need to go to the rain celestial realm to find the antidote." At this moment, he told Sichu Nan what happened in the demon spirit land, as well as his own deduction. As Sichu Nan listened, there was a mysterious light in his eyes. After Wang Lin finished speaking, he pondered a bit and smiled. "That sounds good. I'll risk it and see what happens. Either way, even if there was no such thing, I'd still to go to the demon spirit land with you. Now we might be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. As for planet Fengluan, they can't escape." The killing intent inside Wang Lin's eyes was strong. He had always been one to not bother others if they didn't offend him. However, since Sichu Nan was pushed into such a state, they had touched his bottom line. They began drinking and talking on the peak again until it was dawn. After Sichu Nan finished drinking the last jug of wine in his bag, he looked at Wang Lin for a while before revealing a strange smile. "I say, little Lin, could it be that you, a piece of wood, has gained enlightenment?" Wang Lin was startled, and he subconsciously rubbed his nose. He didn't really understand what Sichu Nan meant. "Don't be silly. If you say your purpose for coming to Planet Water Spirit isn't those two girls, I won't believe you." Sichu Nan revealed a smile that wasn't a smile. "I originally wanted to take those two girls to make them your concubines, but I didn't think you'd move even faster than me. You had already come here. Although gaining intimacy as an influential person is not bad, I still have to scold you. You're not young anymore, yet you're still playing these games of chasing girls. If it was me, I would have just taken them directly. Later, once the rice is cooked, so what if she is unwilling? Even if she wasn't willing, she'd still have to be willing for this old man." Sichu Nan snorted and continued, "Thinking back to when I was the Suzaku, I did this many times. If I fancied them, I'd just take them. Who would dare to say no?" Wang Lin wryly smiled. He understood Sichu Nan too much and didn't doubt Sichu Nan had done such things. After letting out a dry cough, Wang Lin shook his head. "I don't have any ideas about those two juniors. It's just that one of them is somewhat fated with me, but not as a Dao partner." After he spoke, Wang Lin's expression became bleak. He thought of Li Muwen, who was inside the heaven-avoiding coffin. Then there was also Liu Mai, who made him feel extremely complex and always made him feel a stab of pain. Liu Mai probably isn't be dead. Wang Lin looked at the sky. He became aware of this after returning to the Alliance star system. It was a kind of an intuition, a sense for the future he gained after cultivating for over 1,000 years and entering the second step. Sichu Nan naturally saw the pain hidden deep within Wang Lin's eyes and let out a sigh. He knew a bit about the matter between Wang Lin and Li Muwen. This was why he wanted to find a suitable female cultivator for his brother, so Wang Lin could walk away from that sadness. He didn't know that before Wang Lin's sadness could heal, it was mercilessly ripped open again by Liu Mai. This caused an irreparable pain that was forever engraved in his soul. Wang Lin's love life had been very sad. Li Muwen's departure allowed him to learn to cherish, but by the time he understood it, the person he cherished was gone. The kind of life where one lived alone among the stars was not something one could understand without living such a life themselves. His interactions with Liu Mai caused him great amounts of pain. He spent 100 years resolving the resentment Wang Pin had, but it couldn't dissolve the pain in Wang Lin's heart. He picked up the last jug of wine on the table and mercilessly took a drink. He put it down with a bang and laughed. "Sichu, you once taught me that the cultivation world is cruel and runs on the law of the jungle. If one is careless for a moment, they will perish. If you wish to live, you must become merciless and vicious. Only then do you have the qualifications to survive. I have learned how to become vicious, and I have slaughtered during my more than 1,300 years of cultivation. I've also learned loneliness, but I have lost far too much. I've lost my parents, my family, my lover, my child, my happiness, my everything. Sometimes, I ask myself, what am I after?" Sichu Nan silently pondered as he looked at Wang Lin. He opened his mouth, but he couldn't say anything. He was always arrogant and overbearing, but his heart was shaken by Wang Lin's words. "When mother and father died, I was devastated, but too weak to change anything. I could only change that anger into a demonic flame until the day it erupted. When Li Muwen died, I was unable to change fate and recover her from the reincarnation cycle. I could only helplessly watch her become old until she died. You still don't know that due to the accident with me and Liu Mai, she became pregnant with my flesh and blood. However, what was sent to me was a soul that had absorbed hundreds of years of resentment. A child that resented its father. All of this was caused by cultivation. If I didn't cultivate, although I'd be one with the earth right now, none of this sadness would have fallen on me." Wang Lin's face was filled with bitterness. He couldn't say any of this to anyone else in the world. Only one person would let him vent all the bitterness he had experienced in this 1,000 years, and that person was Sichu. Only Sichu, the one who had watched him start as an ignorant teenager until he walked on the true path of cultivation and finally left planet Suzaku. While Sichu Nan pondered, he picked up the wine jug and handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin accepted it and drank another big mouthful before laughing. Cultivators can't even feel drunk when drinking. His laugh drifted in the air and was filled with sadness and sorrow. If you want to be drunk, then I'll let you be drunk. Sichu Nan touched his bag and immediately took out a purple jade bottle and placed it on the table. This wine was brewed in the celestial realm, and there isn't much left. I found it by accident, and although it can't increase cultivation, 1 drop is enough for you to feel drunk like a mortal. Sichu Nan sent the wine over to Wang Lin. Wang Lin, with me here, you can become drunk once. Wang Lin grabbed the bottle, and without looking at it, he drank a mouthful. As this mouthful of wine went down his throat, he felt a spiciness rise up in his throat. Then hot air gathered in his abdomen and rose through his body. Cultivation, cultivation. Did you know that once I sent the ashes of an old friend to his hometown? Do you know what I heard, Sichu? Wang Lin took the bottle and drank once more. Bitterness filled his eyes. The apricot tree blooms white flowers. The daughter won't be taken by a Daoist family. Last year, Lang II went up the mountain, and a year later, Lang I was a bag of bones. The cry of the daughter accompanies the dead but takes the coffin as family. The apricot tree blooms white flowers and children shouldn't be taken by Taoists. If asked about my age, I still haven't found my Tao. The dog barks, the cat scratches, scaring the Daoist back home. This nursery rhyme that came from Wang Lin's mouth contained a trace of sadness. A trace of his helplessness and enlightenment from more than 1,300 years of cultivation. When Sichu Nan heard this, his hand trembled. Cultivating for more than 1,000 years. How many life and death situations have I faced to reach my current cultivation level? Was it all worth it? I don't dare to ask. I don't dare to think about the joys I'd have if I didn't cultivate. Because I have already walked into the life of a cultivator, it is too difficult to quit. Too many things force me to continue on. If I become timid, I won't be able to continue cultivating. Sichu, I had a child you'll never meet. His name was Wang Ping. I named him myself so that he would live a happy and peaceful life of a mortal. To never cultivate. During his lifetime, he asked me 3 times why he couldn't cultivate. Why? Was it because he couldn't cultivate or because I didn't want him to become like me? Wang Lin held the wine cup and drank it all. He felt a slight dizziness in his head. The only other time he had felt drunk like this was when he secretly drank some of his dad's rice wine when he was a kid. What I pursue is something no one can understand. What I pursue is something only I know. Wang Lin's body swayed. He was drunk. Time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, Sichu Nan had stayed on planet Water Spirit for 2 months. On this day, as the formation over the Heavenly Fate sect opened, the All-Seer personally sent out invitations. All the old monsters qualified to enter the Demon Spirit Land received the invitations. In 10 days, the Demon Spirit Land will open and we will enter the Celestial Cave. There was only one line on this invitation, but it set off a storm among those who received it. The fact that there was a celestial cave inside the Demon Spirit Land was not hidden among these old monsters. Almost all of them knew a few things, and some guessed that there were still celestial alive inside. Most people suspected this celestial to be the celestial Emperor Qing Lin. However, this was only a suspicion. There was no conclusive evidence to prove it all. But this was enough to cause these old monsters' hearts to race and bring their blood to a boil. There was a large amount of celestial treasures and celestial spells inside the celestial cave, but that wasn't what held these old monsters' attention the most. What really made those old monsters excited was the celestial that was likely to exist inside. If the person inside was really Celestial Emperor Qing Lin, the strongest celestial across the 4 celestial realms, then they might find the secret to reaching the 3rd step on his body. This was what attracted old monsters like the All-Seer. According to their countless years of exploration, some of these old monsters had a lot of information regarding whether Qing Lin was really inside the cave. The fact that Qing Lin didn't die during the collapse of the celestial realm shows just how powerful his cultivation was. Although he wasn't killed, He was seriously injured, so he had to find a place to enter closed-door cultivation. All kinds of signs pointed to the celestial cave in the demon spirit land. To be able to enter the cave of the former strongest celestial emperor, and that celestial emperor hadn't recovered from his serious injuries yet. This kind of stimulation excited these powerful cultivators greatly. Moreover, after entering the demon spirit land many times, they were almost certain the person inside the celestial cave hadn't recovered yet. When the All-Seer sent out the invitations, Ling Tianhu came out from the depths of the planet. He had his own ambitions about the demon spirit land. He had also sent out his invitations and waited for his friends to arrive. There were suddenly a lot more cultivators around planet Tianyun. Most of them came from other cultivation planets. Very few were invited and many came uninvited. It was impossible to make it so outsiders didn't know about this. However, right now the battle between All Heaven and the Alliance was becoming more and more fierce. Small skirmishes happened all the time, and sometimes they led to medium-sized battles. As a result, only a few powerful cultivators had come. Moreover, the All-Seer's status as an elder of the Alliance made it so some powerful cultivators didn't dare to come to try fish in these troubled waters. 10 days quickly passed, and cultivators had already gathered at the entrance. As cultivators arrived, even more people appeared here. Even the cultivators within the range of planet Tianyun came. They all hoped to take this opportunity to obtain some benefits from this land that opened at irregular times. On the 10th day, the All-Seer arrived. He came by himself as he stepped through the void. The white-robed All-Seer arrived looking very calm. His grey hair flowed behind him, making him look like a real celestial. In addition, there was a trident as black as ink below his feet. Every one of his steps would land on the trident. All the cultivators that knew the All-Seer knew that he rarely used treasures. He could shake the world with just his countless celestial spells. At this moment, when everyone's gazes were focused on the trident under the All-Seer's feet, they were shocked. However, no one talked about it, and they moved out of the way for the All-Seer to arrive above the East Demon Spirit Sea. Below the All-Seer was the East Demon Spirit Sea. There was no suction from the vortex here. It was the gate to the demon spirit land. The appearance of the All-Seer caused the surroundings to become quiet. The All-Seer's expression was neutral. It was impossible to tell what he was thinking. He stared at the East Demon Spirit Sea as if he was pondering. Shortly after, fluctuations of origin energy came from the distance and the old monsters arrived one by one. One of them was the old man sitting on the gourd who was there when Wang Lin returned. At this moment, there were 9 people from his sect behind the old man. He floated to above the East Demon Spirit Sea and greeted the All-Seer. The All-Seer smiled and nodded. They no longer talked afterward. About 15 minutes after the old man appeared, red clouds appeared in the distance. These red clouds were formed by a spell, so it wasn't strange for them to appear in space. There was a beautiful middle-aged woman on the red cloud, and 4 beautiful young women followed her. This was the woman that invited Wang Lin before. As for the 4 young women, they were the same ones from back then. The one wearing pink looked around as if she was looking for something. She was the person Ling Tianhu suspected to be the brilliant Void Saintress. Then a few more old monsters came, and although they were old monsters, they were only at the Nirvana Scryer stage. After they arrived, they all scattered to talk with their friends. A lot of them weren't cultivators of planet Tianyun. They were in small groups or by themselves, but they all would occasionally look at the giant vortex over the East Demon Spirit Sea. Soon, loud, whistling sounds could be heard and rays of golden light whistled through and gathered above the East Demon Spirit Sea. As the golden light moved, the entire area seemed to be shrouded by this light. When all the golden light gathered, it released a bright flash. A person gradually walked out from this golden light. He had long hair that flowed without wind. He had a large figure and looked like a war celestial. He was about 40 years old, his face was resolute, and his eyes were like lightning. You would be shocked just looking at him. Just by standing there, he gave off an aura of majesty. There were many powerful cultivators among the surrounding cultivators, but when they saw this person's gaze, they couldn't help but lower their heads. This person wore a purple robe and a 3-eyed sable lied on his shoulder. This sable's gaze was like lightning as it looked around with indifference. The moment the purple-robed man appeared, the all-seer raised his head and frowned slightly. The expression of the old man on the gourd changed and became gloomy. The man in purple smiled and slowly said, "Fellow cultivator all-seer, we haven't met for many years. Today I was invited to come, so I'm able to catch up to friend all-seer. Elder son is being polite." The all-seer calmly looked at this person. The star-marked sable on the purple-robed man's shoulder looked around with an intelligent gaze. It would occasionally scratch its face with its claws. Shortly after the purple-robed man appeared, sword energy began to appear. In the distance, a bright flash of sword energy filled the sky. Then a red chelene appeared over the horizon. There was a skinny old man sitting on the chelene's back. Before he arrived, his laugh was heard. "Brother Sun is very fast. Along the way, I was wondering if Brother Sun had come." The man in purple smiled and said, "Since Sword Saint sent the invitation, I naturally had to come. Not only me, but that person has also accepted your invitation." Sword Saint Ling Tianho's eyes shined brightly and there was a quick flash of ecstasy in them. At this moment, a huge change occurred in the Demon Spirit Land. The Demon Spirit Land was split into 9 countries. However, a clan that called themselves the Soul Refining Tribe became a new powerhouse between the Fire Demon Country and the Sky Demon Country. This tribe was very aggressive. After devouring a large number of people, they had become a very powerful force within the 2 countries. They had millions of tribe members, and such a huge tribe was something even the 2 countries dreaded. However, what was strange was that the ancient demons didn't move against such a large tribe. Everyone was confused about this. What the military of the 2 countries dreaded the most was that almost every single member of this tribe could use powerful spells. They would often take out large flags, and countless soul fragments would fly out of them. When they fused, they could turn into soul beasts and devour their enemies. In particular, the few leaders had amazing powers. Especially this person called 13, who collected soul fragments to cultivate like crazy and had the power to confront demon generals. Also, there was the tribe leader, Ouyang Hua, who had 99 large flags. If he took them out, he could summon hundreds of millions of soul fragments. He was a formidable opponent. Although the people of the Demon Spirit Land were different from cultivators, meaning their cultivation speed can't be compared, the development of the Soul Refining Tribe was too fast. This meant that they had absorbed a lot of soul fragments throughout the years. This was indeed the truth. The Soul Refining Tribe had many branches across all 9 demon countries. They had scouted every single ancient battlefield, every battle between 2 countries, and all wars between other tribes in these past few hundred years. Today, almost all of the Soul Refining Tribe members had left their homes. Millions of tribe members holding large flags charged straight for the Fire Demon Country. From far away, this was a spectacular scene. There was no ancient demon inside the Fire Demon Country, and in the past several hundred years, the country had splintered. Originally, it was occupied by the Sky Demon Country, but their losses were heavy and they couldn't recover in a short period of time. In the end, the Sky Demon Country could only give up on it. This gave the Soul Refining Tribe this opportunity. After hundreds of years of fighting, Ouyang Hua and 13, along with several leaders of the tribe, began a battle for the Fire Demon Country. There was a black statue being carried by more than 10 people within the large army. All the members of the Soul Refining Tribe looked at the statue with reverence. In these hundreds of years, no one had forgotten, not even new tribe members, about the various legends of the person the statue was based on. This statue was the soul of their Soul Refining Tribe. The king of their Soul Refining Tribe, their ancestor. Years of worship by millions of people caused the statue to contain a strange power. It had made it even more smooth. The ancestor left, but we firmly believe that the ancestor will return. The ancestor won't forget about us. Large amounts of cultivators had gathered outside the East Demon Spirit Sea, waiting for it to open. When Ling Tianhu heard the man in purple, there was a flash of ecstasy in his eyes. However, he didn't ask more. He occupied a position once he got close and looked at the vortex below him. When no more people arrived, Ling Tianhu frowned. He withdrew his gaze and looked into the distance. Not just him, Even the old man on the gourd frowned as well. He looked into the void as if he was waiting for something. Only the all-seer remained neutral as he quietly waited. Time slowly passed, and the cultivators waiting around gradually began to talk. Some of the well-informed ones know what was going on, but most didn't. They were all confused about what these powerful cultivators were waiting for. Just as the chatter got louder, the all-seer suddenly raised in his head and looked into the distance. He revealed a look of intrigue. "He's here." Several breaths after the all-seer noticed something, the man in purple also looked into the distance. He had already heard everything about Wang Lin from Ling Tianhu. He somewhat admired Wang Lin in his heart. Someone who has been able to last against the all-seer for this long is definitely not weak. After the man in purple, it was Ling Tianhu, the old man on the gourd, the beautiful middle-aged woman, and the man in black who no one dared to approach. The four of them looked into the distance at almost the same time. After them, it was the remaining old monsters and a few other cultivators. A strange whistling sound came from the distance, gradually catching everyone's attention. A moment later, the cultivators all gasped when they saw the shocking scene before them. A giant more than 1,000 feet tall was rushing toward here. Giant Demon Clan Mount. Someone in the crowd immediately recognized this giant. This isn't an ordinary giant Demon Clan member. Look at the mark between his eyebrows, he is a royal bloodline giant Demon Clan member. There were many well-informed cultivators waiting outside the East Demon Spirit, and they immediately recognized Lei Ji's identity. It must be a powerful cultivator for him to own a giant Demon Clan mount. I just don't know who he is. This 1,000-foot giant Demon Clan member can clearly already use his bloodline ability. That makes the mount itself very powerful. A cultivator that can sit on it is not simple. Not necessarily. Perhaps this person has a good relationship with the giant demon clan. And his actual cultivation isn't too powerful. The appearance of the giant demon clan mount set off a huge wave among the surrounding cultivators, and they began to chatter. When the giant demon clan mount closed in, people were able to see who was riding it. Just one glance made them all gasp. At first they were able to see 4 people on the giant demon clan mount's back. All 4 of them were famous around planet Tianyun. The 3 Chen brothers. The 3 Chen brothers are all at the Nirvana Scryer stage, and they always move together. They often attack at once, so even a late-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivator would have a headache dealing with them. Why are the 3 of them on this giant demon clan mount? Could this mount belong to the 3 of them? There is also that big-headed cultivator next to them. That person is unfamiliar, but he is also at the Nirvana Scryer stage. For Nirvana Scryer cultivators, it has to be said that any one of them could set off a huge wave among the majority of cultivators here. There must be some secret behind them showing up together. When more and more cultivators clearly saw the people on the back of the giant demon clan mount, the chattering stopped, and they were all shocked. Even Ling Tianhu and company were startled, and their eyes shined brightly. As Lei Ji got closer, they saw a red-robed elder behind the 3 Chen brothers and big head. His body was very large, as if he was a mountain of flesh, and was shocking to look at. His early-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivation spread out and shook the minds of everyone with lower cultivation levels. Master Hollow Wind. Master Hollow Wind was very famous around planet Tianyun. The moment he appeared, many people recognized him. Master Hollow Wind unexpectedly became Wang Lin's helper. The eyes of the old man on the gourd lit up ever so slightly. If it was only the 3 Chen brothers and the big-headed cultivator, they were no threat to him. However, Master Hollow Wind was different. Beside Master Hollow Wind was a beautiful woman, and her eyes were filled with intelligence. Her aura was very fierce, as if it was a pair of scissors that could cut all divine sense extending toward them. Another early-stage Nirvana cleanser. The surrounding cultivators were in an uproar once more. However, not far behind the woman in silver, Sichu Nan's unruly figure and his sneer that belittled the world shocked the surrounding cultivators once more. A third Nirvana cleanser cultivator. I know this person. He just became famous recently on planet Tianyun. The Pink Palace's lord, Sichu Nan. The beautiful woman frowned and showed a look of disgust. Although she didn't live on planet Tian Yun, she has heard of his notoriety. She couldn't understand why a powerful Nirvana cleanser cultivator would do such a thing. The All-Seer was calm as he looked at the people on the giant demon clan mount. It was impossible to tell what he was thinking. The shock the 3 Nirvana cleanser cultivators created was simply too big, far bigger than the 4 Nirvana scryer cultivators. 4 Nirvana scryer cultivators and 3 Nirvana cleanser old monsters. Just who has such connections to get these 7 to help? Lei Ji slowed down for a bit before Wang Lin's figure appeared before everyone. He wore a snow-white robe, his hair flowed in the air, and his gaze was indifferent. His eyes contained the sun and moon as he calmly stood between everyone. The gazes of all the cultivators gathered on him. The moment Wang Lin appeared, the star-marked sable on the shoulder of the purple-robed man suddenly raised its head, and there was a strange light in its intelligent eyes. Its body trembled, and just as it was about to move, Wang Lin looked over with a casual smile and clasped his hands at the man in purple. The man in purple smiled and nodded before placing his mind on the star-marked sable on his shoulder. He had raised this sable ever since it was small and really liked it. The star-marked sable's strange reaction just now had caught his attention. However, at this moment, the star-marked sable seemed to return to normal and showed no signs of abnormality. This made the purple-robed man feel somewhat confused. Wang Lin's expression didn't change under everyone's gazes as Lei Ji closed in. He clasped his hands at the All-Seer and company before he calmly said, "Greetings All-Seer, Sword Saint, and fellow seniors. There were some delays after obtaining the invitation, so I was a bit late." Ling Tianhu stared at Wang Lin, and there was a trace of dread in his eyes. He could never forget that ray of light. If it wasn't for the fact that he had escaped quickly and had speculated that the other ray of light had absorbed enough origin energy, he wouldn't be standing here today. The way he looked at Wang Lin had changed, and he didn't want to provoke Wang. He smiled and shook his head. "Fellow cultivator Wang is being polite. There is no need to call me senior, just call this old man Ling Tianhu." After he spoke, an uproar was set off among the cultivators. Looks of disbelief landed on Wang Lin. Ling Tianhu was a powerful cultivator whose fame was second only to the All-Seer. There were very few people worthy of being called fellow cultivator by him. At this moment, just this one fellow cultivator from Ling Tianhu shocked the minds of the surrounding cultivators. The All-Seer looked at Wang Lin. From beginning to end, his expression didn't change at all, as if the matter several months ago didn't occur. He nodded slightly and slowly said, "No harm." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he clasped his hands and greeted the old man on the gourd and the beautiful middle-aged woman. Then he smiled at the man in black in the distance and clasped his hands as a greeting. The man in black also clasped his hands at Wang Lin, but his expression was still cold. "Everyone is here, so let's open the East Demon Spirit Sea." The All-Seer waved his sleeves and 7-colored light gathered to form a token. This token was only the size of his palm, but it gave off a 7-colored glow. As everyone's vision was blurred by this bright glow, the token flew toward the vortex. This was not a normal opening of the East Demon Spirit Sea, so that powerful tide that pulls in treasures from everywhere wasn't present. Instead, as the token fell into the vortex, a reverse vortex appeared. This reverse vortex quickly expanded and a black hole opened up. The aura of the demon spirit land that Wang Lin was familiar with came out from within. By opening the 4 celestial caves, can the 5th cave be opened? This old man will go first and await the good news from everyone else. The All-Seer was covered in a 7-colored glow as he entered the black hole while standing on the trident. Wang Lin's gaze swept past the trident. He had already noticed the trident. The familiar aura coming from it made him certain that this was a treasure refined by Tu Sai. 1. When the place opens normally there is a wave of treasures being pulled in from all over the place. This was a treasure Tu Sai was very satisfied with, but unfortunately, no treasure spirit had formed. In order to perfect it, Tu Sai hid it in a planet and turned it into 3 mountains. He wanted to use the mountain spirit of the planet to form a treasure spirit for this trident. He planned to retrieve once he mastered the royal bloodline spell, but after he left, he never came back. When he saw the trident enter the black hole with the All-Seer, he felt melancholy. This melancholy came from the regret in two Sai's memories. Ling Tianhu and the man in purple turned into rays of light and turned toward the black hole. However, the two of them paused. Just as Wang Lin was preparing to enter the black hole, he suddenly turned around and looked into the stars. The old man on the black gourd and Sichu Nan were a step ahead of him as they looked into the distance. A ripple appeared, and an old man appeared from inside the ripple. In just one step, he arrived before everyone. Ling Tianhu and the man in purple quickly stopped. The man in purple revealed a look of respect and bowed. Sun Shan greets Grand Elder. Although Sun Shan was an elder, he was not a member of the Alliance Elder Group. At this moment, his respect came from the bottom of his heart. He obviously deeply respected the old man that had appeared. Junior greets Grand Elder. Ling Tianhu also revealed a respectful expression. With his personality, there weren't many people who he genuinely respected. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. The old man had merged with the world to move here. This old man also gave off an aura that shocked Wang Lin. This aura was very different from the All-Seer's. If the All-Seer was an unfathomable ocean, this old man was like a large mountain that pierced the heavens. His powerful aura spread out, causing those weaker cultivators to cough out blood and immediately retreat. Sichu Nan's eyes lit up and he muttered, "Nirvana Shatterer." He pondered for a moment before he sneered. His eyes shined due to his arrogance and how he looked down on everything. If I want to have a good time in this world, I need a cultivation that can suppress the world. Nirvana Shatterer. This old man has been too lazy. The old man wore a golden robe and his hair was half black and half white, and he was giving off an ancient aura. He looked at Ling Tianhu and revealed a smile of admiration. How long has it been since we last met? Ling Tianhu reminisced about the past and respectfully said, "Junior doesn't remember, it has been far too long." The golden-robed old man let out a sigh and slowly said, "When you and the All-Seer were qualified, I personally brought the two of you into the brilliant Void Holy Land. Now tens of thousands of years have passed. One of you has become an elder of the Alliance that even I dread, and the other's cultivation had also reached such a level." Ling Tianhu pondered, but the reminiscence in his eyes became even stronger. "When I received your jade a few months ago, I was debating if I should come. I didn't want to come, because the war with all heaven was getting serious and my senior brother, Zhong Xuanzi, can't make an avatar. However, considering what happened between you and the All-Seer, I decided to come to end the matter between the two of you." As the old man spoke, there was a hint of decisiveness and profoundness in his gaze. Ling Tianhu's mind trembled as he looked at the old man and said, "Thank you, Senior Master Void. Let's go. I have heard about this demon spirit land but haven't gone there before. Let's go and see." The old man waved his sleeves and looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman in the distance. His gaze revealed goodwill when he looked at the woman in pink, then he entered the black hole. Ling Tianhu and the purple-robed man followed him into the vortex. Wang Lin pondered a bit before his eyes lit up and he moved with Sichu Nan, followed by Master Hollow Wind and the woman in silver. Behind them were the three Chen brothers and Big Head. They all flew toward the vortex. Lei Ji's figure shrank until he was only a big fellow, and he followed everyone into the vortex. The old man sitting on the gourd and the cold man in black both entered the black hole. The beautiful middle-aged woman hesitated as she looked at the woman in pink next to her. The woman in pink smiled like a rose and softly said, "Aunt Xia, you can relax for this trip to the Demon Spirit Land. Shi Xian has a treasure gifted by Senior Sister. It is more than enough to keep myself safe. What's more, didn't Second Sister send Elder Master Void here as well?" The beautiful middle-aged woman pondered a bit and nodded. She then led the four women around her into the black hole. Qian Qin revealed a complex expression. When Wang Lin appeared, she was constantly looking at him. Now that she thought about how they would be in the Demon Spirit Land together, she thought, "I wonder if he still remembers me." After those people entered, the surrounding cultivators all rushed toward the black hole. However, there were too many people, and only some of them were able to get in before the black hole suddenly stopped its reverse rotation and disappeared. Some of the cultivators were only halfway into black hole when the vortex disappeared, so their bodies collapsed and their miserable screams echoed. This caused the cultivators behind them to quickly retreat. The black hole disappeared with a hint of blood. It was as if a large door had closed, preventing anyone from entering. The surrounding cultivators all scattered with regret. There were some that were reluctant and stayed for a few days before finally leaving. The East Demon Spirit Sea returned to its peaceful state. Inside the Demon Spirit Land, the fiery sun hung in the sky. The heat wave moved with the wind along the earth. The corpses on the ground smelled of decay, attracting many vultures that hovered over the corpses, absorbing the death aura. This was only a corner of the fire demon country. Looking at the entire country, it was covered in corpses. Under this heat wave, they decayed even faster, and the wind blew away their clothes, revealing the black skin underneath. A large war was spreading across the fire demon country as the soul refining tribe attacked. All of the powerful people scattered across the country fell. If they didn't surrender, they died. The capital of the fire demon country, where one of the 9 ancient demons once lived, was now the last force left. This place was occupied by one of the elite armies of the fire demon country. It was called the Fire Demon Spirit Army. They had 2 commander-in-chiefs and 8 demon generals holding the fort. Although the Fire Demon Spirit Army had suffered heavy losses, compared to the other forces, they were the most powerful. This allowed them occupy the capital and hold on to what remained of the fire demon country. At this moment, the army of the soul refining tribe surrounded the capital of the fire demon country. There were countless people floating in the sky with several big flags around them. A dense, black fog shrouded the area. The sharp cries from the soul fragments never ended and swept across the earth. The wailing of the mournful souls became the only sound left in the world. There was a stone statue within the soul refining tribe army outside the gates of the capital of the fire demon country. There were several tribe members carrying it. Those that were carrying the statue were filled with pride. For them to be picked out from the millions of tribe members to carry the ancestors' statue was glory that only came once in a lifetime. There was an old man in the sky filled with majesty. He wore a black robe and there were dozens of large flags beside him that formed a black whirlwind. Demon General Charming Wood and Golden Scorpion, are you two going to surrender? The old man's voice was like a blast of cold wind. The moment his voice appeared, a sharp whistle came from the black whirlwind around him. Just the old man's voice wasn't bad, but the millions of soul-refining tribe members surrounding the capital all roared at the same time. Are you going to surrender? The roar of millions of people at once was indescribable. It was as if the world was trembling, and no thunder could compare to it. This caused the minds of the remaining soldiers inside the capital to tremble. Some of them felt something explode in their minds, and they passed out while bleeding from their orifices. "Oh Yang Hua, don't you push us too far." An angry voice came out from the wall, then a big fellow in armor appeared. This armor looked like a scorpion, and his eyes were bloodshot. Hatred filled his eyes as he rushed out, but not toward Ouyang Hua. Instead, he charged toward the black stone statue among the crowd. "Even if I die, I'm going to destroy this thing." The big fellow was too fast. He arrived next to the statue in an instant. He raised his hand and smashed down with a roar. However, what was strange was that all the surrounding soul-refining tribe members revealed looks of mockery. Even Ouyang Hua sneered and didn't try to stop him. The moment the big fellow's hand smashed down, an extremely cold voice echoed in his ears. "You dare to harm the statue of my lord? Die." An extremely ordinary man moved along with that voice. This man wore a black robe and had an extremely cold expression. If anyone knew Wang Lin, they would be shocked because this person's temperament was about 60% to 70% similar to Wang Lin's. This man walked forward and causally threw a punch. At this moment, countless soul fragments came out of his body and entered his fist, creating a storm. This powerful storm quickly smashed into the big fellow. The big fellow coughed out a mouthful of blood and the armor on his body broke inch by inch. There was also the sound of his bones breaking coming from inside his body. The strongest member of the soul refining tribe, 13. The big fellow let out a bitter smile as his body shattered. He was already out of power, and now that he had received a seriously injury, he immediately died. Ouyang Hua laughed, then he pointed at the capital of the fire demon country and said, soul extinguish. After he spoke, the millions of tribe members took out their soul flags and boundless souls rushed out, covering the entire capital of the fire demon country in black fog. This black fog slowly closed in on the capital. Surrender. A woman wearing blue armor on the wall of the capital of the fire demon countryside. At this moment, the fire demon country became the capital of the soul refining tribe. The soul refining tribe had become one of the 9 powers of the demon spirit land. The black statue would be placed where the ancient demon statue was and become the spiritual foundation for the soul refining tribe. Just as 13 raised his feet to walk toward the capital, his body trembled violently and his cold expression collapsed. It was replaced with excitement he hadn't felt for hundreds of years, and he suddenly raised his head. Ancestor has returned. At this instant, the sky above the demon spirit land went through a shocking change. Layers of vortexes appeared in the sky as if they were going to tear the heavens apart. This sudden change caused the inhabitants of the demon spirit land to panic, and they all looked at the sky. The vortex spread in the sky until it almost covered the entire sky above the demon spirit land. The vortex rotated rapidly like a storm that descended from the heavens. In the demon spirit land, there was a deep gully in the wood demon country. This area was very remote, and the depths of the ravine were filled with moss. The area was very humid, and in the early morning, it was usually covered in dense fog. At this moment, there was faint mist that still remained but slowly disappeared under the sun. As the mist gradually dissipated, a pool of water at the bottom became visible. This pool was like the surface of a mirror, there weren't any ripples at all. However, when the vortex appeared, ripples appeared in this pool of water. And something slowly came out from the center of the ripples. At first it wasn't possible to see what it was, but as it became more clear, it was obvious that it was a face. This was a demonic face. That handsomeness was not something a person could have, especially the dark light coming from his eyes. He quietly looked at the sky and revealed a demonic smile. You finally came. I have waited a very long time for this day. At this moment, far in the other side of the demon spirit land, there was a grassy plain. There were some flowers on this plain, and before one even got close, they could smell the fragrance of the grass. This fragrance was very faint, but it had a very strange effect. Whenever someone from the demon spirit land smelled it, they would feel relaxed. As a result, over time, many tribes appeared on this plain. The soul refining tribe had expanded here as well, but what was strange was that the soul flags would immediately lose some of their power here. It was as if the soul fragments inside didn't dare to come out. If forced to come out, the soul fragments would quickly dissipate one by one. As a result, the soul refining tribe gave up on this place. If one looked from above, they would find this grassland to be very ordinary. However, if a restriction expert saw this, their forehead would immediately be covered in cold sweat. This place was filled with very large restrictions, and there was an unknown amount of restrictions here. If they were activated, they had the power to destroy the world. No one knew that there was an extremely ancient transfer array under this grassland. If one traced its origins, it would go back to before the celestial realm collapsed. Celestial realm formation. Through this formation, along with a special method and a token, you could enter one of the 5 celestial caves. 4 of the 5 celestial caves in the demon spirit land had been found. As for the 5th cave, no one knew where it was. Only by opening the inner part of the 4 other caves would the 5th cave be opened. The celestial cave connected to this transfer array was filled with celestial spiritual energy, and nothing inside it was ordinary. However, although it felt like the celestial realm, it looked very empty with a hint of coldness. One would cold and lonely just by standing in there. This celestial cave was zigzag-shaped and was filled with pavilions. There was a young man sitting inside a towering pagoda. He was very handsome and gave off the aura of a celestial. He was holding a scroll made of bamboo. There was a teacup on the table next to him. The heat that came from the tea turned into flowers in the air before slowly dissipating. This man would occasionally drink of the teacup, and his expression was very calm. However, the moment the vortex appeared, the man placed down the scroll and looked into the distance. It was as if his gaze could penetrate the void and see the changes outside. They came, The person who spoke was not him but a woman who walked in from outside. She was very beautiful, but a bit skinny. She had an oval face and beautiful eyes that were very charming. She wore a light blue dress with white pants that had blue embroidery on it. From a distance, she had slender legs. Although she looked weak, it made her more feminine. The man smiled as he looked tenderly at the woman and said, "We have waited so long, I hope we can succeed this time." The woman sat down on the side as she gently looked the man and laughed. "We planned for so long. As long as we are careful, I believe there will be no accidents." The two of them smiled at each other, and the feeling of a couple filled their hearts with warmth that lingered. Even this empty cave no longer felt cold, as if a warmth had spread. This cultivation couple was the couple that never left the cave after they came. Wang Wei and Hu Huan. How is he doing? Wang Wei picked up the bamboo scroll. He was very handsome and didn't look old at all, as if he was really a young man. However, the pride hidden deep inside his eyes showed the glory he must have had countless years ago. Hu Huan chuckled and gently said, "This sword spirit is very determined. He has already reached the 8th layer of the immortal spirit method you gave him and is about to enter the 9th layer. If there are no accidents, he should break through soon." Wang Wei's eyes were filled with admiration as he nodded. "Is that so? Then I didn't help him in vain." As he spoke, he became a bit bleak and shook his head. "But I'm still puzzled. Is Qing Shuang not dead? Otherwise, how did she reform the Rain Celestial Sword and make him the Sword Spirit? Unfortunately, he refuses to speak, and I don't want to hurt Qing Shuang's feelings, so it would be inconvenient to search his memories." Hu Huan softly said, "Perhaps little sister Qing Shuang is still alive." The moment the vortex appeared, the pool in the ravine and the celestial cloud cultivation couple weren't the only ones to respond. A huge change occurred under the palace of the Wind Demon Country. This was the holy land of the Wind Demon Country. There was a vast expanse of caves that resembled a honeycomb underground, with the capital of the Wind Demon Country as the center. Every single cave had many tunnels that linked them together. Eventually, all of them would lead to the large cave under the imperial palace. These caves were filled with skeletons that were blackish purple and gave off death aura. The moment the death aura appeared, it would be sucked away by the tunnels connected to the caves. All the death aura in the countless caves throughout the Wind Demon Country would all lead to the cave under the imperial palace. This cave was very large, at least 10,000 feet wide. At the center of the cave was a towering pillar, and a woman sat on top the pillar. This woman's appearance was extremely terrifying. There were numerous hideous scars on her face. It was impossible to count how many wounds there were at a glance. Although those wounds had closed, blood rushed into them when she cultivated, so they had become red. It was as if countless centipedes were crawling on her face. Not only her face, but even her arms were covered in these hideous scars. There was a sea of death aura under the pillar the woman was sitting on. Some of the death aura would float up around her and enter her scars. Every time this happened, the woman's body would tremble as if she was facing unbearable pain, but she would always clench her teeth and endure it. "Wang Lin, I, Yarrow Shishue, had to endure all this pain because of you. I hate that I can't eat your flesh to avenge my father. As long as I can kill you, what does this pain count as? If I can kill you, so what if I gave up my appearance?" The woman's eyes were filled with monstrous resentment. She could never forget the sense of helplessness she had for her father's crisis when she awakened in the demon spirit land. Then she suddenly felt a pain in heart, letting her know through her blood connection that it was likely that her father didn't survive. At that point, her hatred for Wang Lin almost reached a peak. In order to get revenge, she gave up everything. She knew that in order to increase her cultivation level, she needed help from the ancient demon here. She worked very hard and experienced hardships and humiliation that were like nightmares. In the end, she obtained the recognition of the ancient demon of the Wind Demon Country. She entered here and began an inheritance. She could never forget the moment she accepted the Wind Demon's inheritance, that demonic voice that echoed in her heart. "I can give you strength, enough power to let you get revenge. However, the price is that your divine sense and soul will slowly be erased until you become my body. I'm willing as long as I can get revenge." Yarrow Shishue took a deep breath and began to absorb this death aura, causing her enough pain to wish she was dead. As she absorbed it, she raised her right hand, which was completely blue, and her fingernails emitted a cold glint. After taking a deep breath, she mercilessly cut open a wound on her left arm. Intense pain came from her arm, causing her body to tremble, but her expression was indifferent as she had long grown accustomed to the pain. At this moment, endless amounts of death aura entered the wound on her arm. As the endless death aura continued to enter, the wound gradually closed until it formed a scar. Wang Lin, I'll never let you go. The cry from her soul was like a storm that filled the heavens. This video will end here.